Welcome to Loneliness to Resilience group, and I am struggling with a new layout with two screens, and I'm pitch hitting for somebody that I scheduled, and he has not showed up. I have not been able to reach him, so I am pitch hitting. That's what they call it. Yeah. All right. So welcome. And I do want to encourage you to put some comments in the chats of what about loneliness to resilience are you, in fact, dealing with in life? And I am going to use the same title, a theme of self-care to resilience that I had arranged my guest to do be, and now my slide. Oh, here's a way to change my slides. All right. No, it's not changing. Oh my god, there it is. Okay. All right. Welcome. I am our agenda today. I will be sharing my resources, telling you briefly about our website for our community members, and I'm going to do a little different emotional reflection because that's part of what I wanted to share with you about on emotions and self-care, and then I may get brave enough to try a video today, but we'll see about that. I like to bring a video every day just to kind of get ourselves in a videos have a nice concise way of sharing a point, and I'm not sure if I'm brave enough. I tried last week and I don't remember. Did we do the virtual reality video last week? Anyway, I was planning maybe to try that again today. And then I'm going to do a presentation on resilience and self-care, and it's a pretty interesting combination of those. We've had somebody speak about it before, but I've got a different angle on it today. All right, I love to talk about change, curiosity, courage, and the P's are potential, purpose, and possibilities. And I do have a couple courses that I've written, and they're on the Great Discovery platform, and I'm Queen of Courage on Instagram, and I've been posting a few things on Facebook this week under SharonRolf.com. And my email is sharon@effortlessvitality.org. All right. I welcome you here, and I hope we have a good discussion today with this topic. All right, on our website, when you join our community, it takes you to this white page here with the hands out, and we have under the links the replays, and then on the challenges, let's see if I can get my mouse over there. Oh, maybe just right here. Okay. No, my mouse doesn't show on your screen. All right. There's a challenges with the blue dot about in the middle of the page there when you log in. You'll find under challenges some milestones, and we ask you, there's about 25, 30 questions there that we help you to reflect on where are you in the journey from loneliness to resilience, and it helps you reflect. I don't think that we do near enough reflection, but maybe that's just me. I want to help you progress and know where the finish line, you're moving towards the finish line. All right, so we like to each session talk about just kind of checking in with, are we happy, sad, excited, or lonely today? And one of our guests provided us with this slide. So we kind of stay in these four categories. And today I wouldn't say I'm any of those. I would say, in fact, I'm going to bring up the next slide. And this, I know this is hard to see, but I didn't have time since I was pitch hitting to put these out on a slide for you, but it's expanding. The top title says expanding your emotional vocabulary. And they have general categories of happy, anxious, curious, mad, fearful, connected, sad, disappointed, or powerful. And I believe this came from the book I'm reading right now called um, Powered by Me. And it's actually a book on burnout. And um, and the way why I'm bringing this book in is because it's self-care. If you're not careful, it might lead you into burnout. And there's all kinds of feelings that come with burnout that we tend to ignore because um, because we're getting overwhelmed and we don't know how to recover our own identity is just kind of a phrase off the cuff that I'm gonna mention. And so in all honesty, we've talked about our emotions on some of our meetings using some of these other words. The so I'm going to say I'm overwhelmed a little bit until I get a better handle on my Zoom and screen, and everything's changing, of course. So you got to get used to their changes and then get used to my changes, and maybe we'll get someplace today. All right. So I wish I could show you that and hear you talk, but let's see. Puzzled, curious a little bit. You know, when it comes to learning new things, I'm always a little bit curious. So, ladies and gentlemen, where are you emotionally today? Thinking that our vocabulary is a little bit expanded. I'll get these on a slide when soon. But um, what where Bill's been getting ready to move, so is he overwhelmed?
You want me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I'm very excited and happy. Tomorrow I will close on my new condo, and it's a brand spanking new life from then on. As soon as I close on it, then I can start moving minimum stuff into the condo. Once I get that there, then I come back to the house here to start selling, down selling, and I've been selling for the last 3 weeks. Everything. I put something on the market, I must be too cheap because people are buying it. For the last 2 weeks, I have sold $1,500 worth of stuff capitalized. So, anyhow, I'm excited to find out and see this house perfectly empty. Uh, Whatever. But anyhow, it's a big mountain on what I got to get rid of yet. So, that's where I'm at today. And the bottom line always is the loneliness. I miss my sweetie very much.
Okay, so you might feel overwhelmed a little bit too in all this transition, right?
Yes.
Okay, I see we have a Clayne Anderson here also. If you're willing to come on and greet us, tell us a little bit about your journey, perhaps. In the meantime, Dolores, why don't you share with us where you at in your emotional status today?
Okay, well, I'm feeling a little puzzled because I'm trying to learn AI, a tool that is being introduced by a group that I belong to out of Europe. And I'm part of their pilot program. And, technology is not my forte, as you well know, but I thought I'm just going to go. I can help him and I can learn in the process. So I'm on a team. We're scattered throughout the world, but we just met earlier before this meeting and trying to learn how to work with this. It's like an AI, like a chat GPT, but it's been designed around project management and engineers. Everybody can use it, anybody. But anyway, I'm working with them and I'm a little bit scared when I work with them because it's second nature to this team. And they just go on there and we do this and we do that. And I'm like, how did you do that? So I told them it was above my pay grade, but I'm doing it. And at the same time, I'm struggling with what to do. I had a meeting very early this morning with one of my colleagues that I met virtually, and we worked together around what I do. If I just retire and don't work anymore and go on with life and figure out what else to do. So it's a little bit puzzling. But I'm looking forward, I'll be traveling for the next 2 weeks, probably possibly 3, try to see family. So figure out what it is I'm going to do as I get older. That's where I am today.
Okay, okay. I've got something I just completed last night that I'll email to you that might help you think about the future.
Okay,
Al,
thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, Bill, I might send it to you too. I've got your email. Al, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. Having 2 days break holiday, so resting. Yeah, so because of the Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year, so started today. Today is the change of the wood snake, from dragon. So dragon has been changing to the snake. So there's a 12 animal zodiac in our Chinese metaphysics calendar. They're similar to like the English zodiac, like Leo, Sagittarius, and all those, So in Chinese, it's all followed by the animals, So it started off with the rat and it ends with the pig, So basically, it depends on the year your year born, Then you have the different animal signs. So everybody have a different animal sign based on your year birth. Mhm.
So,
So
are you in your rest? Is there something new or exciting you're doing in your resting time?
yeah, resting time and just follow up with some summits and all that, Some so basically just also watching some new movies online, Basically you can catch up on that. So basically, yeah, I just watched a Jackie Chan movie. It's quite a new movie about panda, So he's taking care of the panda. He adopted a panda in real life, And then he playing a movie of it. It was a last year movie, So some people are trying to grab the baby panda and all that, and sell it to the to the Middle Eastern people and all that, So he's trying to save the panda. Yeah. Wow. You can speak my Malaysian. Anyway, it's a interesting day. Just a resting day for me. So yeah.
Thank you for
Interesting.
sharing that. Yeah, yeah. Colleen, are you brave enough to make a comment on your emotions today?
Well, I'm actually in a great place today because I'm visiting family, and grandchildren are always such a blessing. But it's been interesting. I haven't. This is my first time attending, and I haven't learned enough about what you're doing and why and how it works. But I'm very interested, and just finished up a project working with Amazon, building satellites because Jeff Bezos wants to compete with Elon Musk in the satellite business, and went to work for them for a little while. And I've been doing consulting work like that because it keeps your brain active, right? So,
Yeah, you're in there with Dolores.
yeah, yeah, that's how you. That's it's like like muscles. If you don't use them, you lose them, right? So,
So it sounds like you're doing contract work in retirement. Is that a good guess?
yes, yes, and the contract work is good in that it's not necessarily permanent, but they pay very well um, for what you're doing. And I spent about 40 plus years in the nuclear robotics world. So I'm translating that over to some of the software and other kinds of hardware to keep active.
Okay, pat yourself on the back. That stretching your mind is is tough going. Okay, so I'm going to move on to my slides here now. Which Yeah, okay, I think I've got it. Pardon me, Colleen, for being a little clumsy here with my presentation, but last week it was horrible. It's a temper two above that now. So okay. Um my okay, so I'm not going to be brave enough to do the video this time. I don't have had a way to practice. That's the word I want. Okay, so this slide is kind of unusual. It reminds me in Indianapolis, they have, I think in a mall, a bunch of people made of plaster of Paris, I guess it is. They're all in white and they're meant to be, kind of invisible. And part of, especially in retirement or people, even young people, go through life, I think, periods of feeling invisible. And I certainly did my whole career, actually. And so this book, Powered by Me, is a just written last year by a lady doctor. And she does a marvelous job of writing it in a real easy to understand way. And so I decided I found this off her website and I thought, I think I like this being all white, all nondescript. And I imagine when you're in burnout, that kind of is what happens. So I gathered from, I put some resources together here, and I want you to pay attention to under the self-care. I have a link there called her website is called intuitiveintelligenceinc.com, and then you can get to that what I'm sharing here by just the front page, but she has a link also / powered by me. And a crucial thing about, so I've kind of arranged some of the tips that I got from AI about between self-care negative and self-care positive. So self-awareness is crucial in identifying and addressing the root causes of burnout or pain. So let's look at this about pain, because that's pretty common. Not everybody experiences burnout, but we do experience pain. So then I have this graph, image of mental energy, emotional energy, social energy, spiritual energy, and physical energy. And I've just skipped around in her book a little bit because I was mostly interested in the chapter on emotions, because I'm willing to bet I might have a closed, some of my emotions could be numb. And one of the things that I've heard a couple of people say is that when you numb some emotions, you numb the good along with the bad. So you may not realize that when you say numb down your, I'm going to use anger as an example, that you might also be numbing down something positive and not even realize it. You're numbing the good, some of the good along with bad. So AI told me some of the points from her book were the triad of burnout consists of exhaustion, cynicism, and ineffectiveness. So exhaustion sounds like physical. Cynicism might be mental. And ineffectiveness may fit into that, physical as well. I might even put into spiritual energy is where the burnout might feel in your body and in your status. Let's put a status, the overall being. Any comments along that statement of where burnout or pain consists in your body? That's kind of my early for comments, but I'm open to you pitching in here. So then the next statement is burnout is a wake-up call. Pain is a wake-up call, signaling the need for change in one's life. So I don't know how we normally think about pain in our life. Bill here said that he was still sad, missing his wife Nelta, and it's not well. So the process of grief is a signal of something he's processing, and yeah, it's certainly been a wake-up call, but the next step beyond that is a signal for a need for change. So in fact, the changing to a new location, that transition is the direction he's taking now. And
Sharon,
yeah,
could I mention a word that fits, I think, just jumped into my mind for this, everything you're talking about, and it's balance, balance. When we get too much energy on any one of them major things, something's being lost, and all of a sudden it's a warped up wheel going around and not a smooth circulation of what's going on. Word balance is very important.
yeah, I've come across that in various profiles, and they usually kind of make it aware that your tire is out of whack, and normally the equilibrium, yeah, that's a good word for it. Yeah, it makes you aware, and awareness is the first thing of whether you want to or need to or would choose to change, and maybe life would feel more equal. So that's an interesting way to look at it. Yes, and sometimes it's easier to change than not change. Easier to, yeah. I've used the term in the past. Often people don't change until it hurts bad enough to want to change. That I'd rather leave the pain, and I'm willing to leave the pain. All right, so let's see. Well, the last statement there then is burnout is a signal of one's deepest needs are being neglected. So pain or burnout is a signal that one's deepest needs are being neglected. And usually in burnout, it requires people to take a sabbatical, or I think she said she took a 4-month reprieve from work and started breathing and saying no to people and using her voice. So how does this relate to any pain that you've dealt with in the past? And does it sound familiar, like what you went through? That you became exhausted, cynical, and going backwards instead of forwards? Or you oftentimes, especially I've read it, well, another book I had last year, I think it was called Outlive, was also written by a doctor, and I don't know that he called his situation a burnout, but his last chapter was so amazing, because it was about if you don't have emotional balance, life stinks. and that's what kind of opened me up to maybe being, I wonder if I should consider that my emotions need that opening up, and I'm willing to look at that. So let's see. Any comments or move on? All right. Oh, Al?
Yeah, I would say that the 5 circles that they circle in, it's important to have a balance in all those. Because sometimes when we are in grief, sometimes we try to recluse ourselves, we try to be aloof, try not to mix. So that eventually the social energy will be lost, somehow, because we try to stay away from other people or relatives and all that, when we are grieving, because it happens to yourself, so you try not to mix with people and all that. So to avoid any negative comments or feedback or anything. So basically, we are not in balance, in that way. Once we are in grief or in burnout situation, or stress or heavily emotional state, So basically, we have to come back into that the 5 circles, which actually combine, and then within that subset itself, to get our hormones or whatever, our whole system, body system to be in place. So basically, this is what is my thoughts, on that.
Yeah, and if you're not careful, that might be where some addictions might creep in. Oh, this might help you, and you might have beer or wine one week, and well, did that help? Did that solve anything? Did that make you give you social energy or emotional energy, whatever?
But that's only temporary relief, when you have those. But it's not good for the body system eventually. Like having too much of alcohol or something in the system, or you heavily eat or something. So it's not good for the system.
Yeah, overeat, pornography, drugs, there's all kinds of things that people will resort to when they don't know. Well, and they probably don't come back and think, oh, did that make me feel better? And the next day, did it help me give me mental energy or physical energy? So, okay, let's move on to
I got a book that you recommend you to read. There's one
yeah.
book called Don't Die, It's a book by Brian Zero Johnson. So there's something that interesting to motivate people, why the person say he does not die, because they recommended this book called Don't Die, maybe you can look that up later on. Yeah.
Put the title, please, out in the comments, okay? The chat.
Sure.
Okay. So then the positive side of resilience is, this looks like the same slide. Okay, let's move on. All right, there we go. So the rediscovering favorite activities, trying new routines, or simply feeling more present in life is what we want to achieve. Where every step towards pain-free is a step worth celebrating. Bill's not celebrating yet with his move. I'm sure he's still a little overwhelmed yet, and yet he's moving towards pain-free to a point that he can celebrate life again. Is that about right, Bill?
Yes, you're close.
Okay. So we're going to try balancing that mental energy, emotional energy, social energy, spiritual energy, and physical energy. And I'm still not good yet about, I did something and did it give me more energy, and what kind of energy was it? I don't post very many personal pictures on my Facebook page. And so every now and then I'm trying to, not very often yet, but take a picture of something I'm doing. Well, I did a little bit of a different walk this weekend and found a cute little dinghy that had dirt in it, and it had a bunch of Valentine Day, like the little heart trees, sayings, dirt in this little dinghy on the shore. And so I rediscovered some beauty. I love beauty. And I guess it gave me a little bit of physical energy. Emotional energy, yes, because I have shared that picture with a few people. And so I guess when I share it with people, that would create some social energy. And just, I guess the spiritual energy to me is being inspiration to people is such a powerful thing in my life. So I added some balanced equilibrium to my wheel here. All right, so then point number 2 on the positive energy is your journey matters. Reflect on what keeps you moving forward. And I summarize that with the word energized, because that's what this little graphic kind of does for me is in fact look at try new things, new routines, feeling more present. Yes, I did when I shared that picture. Every step is towards living pain-free, burnout-free is a step in your worth celebrating. And I guess it's part of walking out of the pain and burnout. So the last overall statement here that the AI brought up was aligning decisions with core values can lead to greater fulfillment and prevent burnout. I think a lot of burnout happens, well, even pain probably comes from not saying yes to yourself. So how does this come across to you? What's kind of tickling your brain or your emotions with this little presentation?
Sharon, what was on that last slide that you just showed? Could you show that one again,
Oh,
please?
okay, sure.
You had added some comment to it.
Well, the last line at the bottom says aligning decisions with core values can lead to greater fulfillment and prevent burnout.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, one of the things that's so important in the course that I created was helping people realize how critical our core values are to, in fact, giving us, and when we make decisions from what is deepest in our heart, we have and then make decisions based on that. That's where that greater fulfillment happens. So since most of us don't know what our core values are, we're clueless. And I have a list of like 50 things, kind of like those emotions. There's lots of them. You might find values clarification process with 20, 25, but the list I found and used and even expanded it a little bit is 50 core values. Mine, my top 4, I think, is creativity, integrity, responsibility, and beauty. You know, you'll often find me, well, like my little art blocks that I make. That's part of expressing my beauty and inspiring people too. So how does this, how do you relate to what this self-care and resilience is teaching us today? I like to help people think, so I hope the silence is you thinking.
Well, I very much appreciate the energy part of it, because there really is a lot to the fact that if you feel depressed or if you have issues going on, it'll sap your energy, and then it's a spiral that you don't want to go down, right? So I like the idea of tying energy, mental into physical, because that's another big one, is that, our physical and our mental are very closely aligned. And if one's bad, then the other one's not going to go very well either. Just like you were saying about with the addictions. If you get addicted to something that isn't healthy and beneficial, you go down a rabbit hole that you don't want to go down.
Right, right. The thing that she brings out in the emotion chapter that I read, and I might do another, I don't have any more guests lined up, but so I might cover this next week, is you have an emotion like anger maybe, but you also have thoughts that connect with those emotions. And she gives a story of this Stan that he was always, well, she created a group, I don't know, mastermind, I guess, of some sort, and that they met for 6 or 8 weeks. And this Stan, all he would answer to any of the questions that were asked was 1 or 2 words. And she thought, oh man, this is going to be a hard nut to crack, because he was all in his head. And somebody tells a story about 4 or 5 weeks in about, well, I forget what it was about, but the setting of the story triggered something in him that probably has been subconscious. And what he had something happen to him in a similar kind of situation, but it was like on the floor beneath him. It had something to do with a staircase. And for the first time, Stan had some emotions. The leader could see him becoming agitated, his face turning red, his heart beating faster. Stan had no clue he had emotions. So she had to point it out to him. And by the end of the class, they, because these were doctors and nurses, and there was a third element, I forgot what, that they were all mixed together. And they said, in fact, they sorted out the group, and this one nurse said, well, if that doctor's going to be in here, one of us needs to leave, because they don't tell each other the truth. And yet you need to face the truth for having that equilibrium and that balance. So I'm going to go back and read it again, because I don't understand the thought and the emotion clear enough to be able to explain it to you. But she said, like the anger, you might have a feeling in your body, and what comes with that usually often is a thought. Being fearful, being not safe, being what are they trying to do here? All kinds of reactions to the emotions. So I'll try to get a handle on that, because I'm part of the learning process here. So I guess when I bake, that's one of the ways I feel a little bit of energy, because that's when I usually like to, for years, I shared my baking with others. I, in fact, dreamed of a project. I was working 4 12-hour days, and then had, 3 4 12-hour days, and then had 4 days off. What do you do with 4 days off? You don't have the time or money. They usually say you don't have the time or the money. Well, I had the time, but not the money. And anyway, I actually baked like 3 or 4 batches of cookies, and would take them over to the church on 4 or 5 plates, and so they could take them out to people when they went calling on them, and say, look, somebody was here, they left a plate of cookies. And every now and then I could tell some of the people they were giving them to were in fact depressed or had really low physical energy or some such. But to look at life, everything you do in your day, I don't know, going to the grocery store may or may not give me energy. Going to a social event doesn't tend to give me energy unless I make a real key conversation or connection with people, you know, a person or two. I'm not a social extrovert. I'm an introvert. I like to help you think. But emotional energy, that I think often comes with play, you know, playing with your grandkids. Does that, how does emotional energy fit in with your grandkids?
Oh, it's a big one. That's what brings joy in our life, I think, is family. And I apologize, my video is not working on my computer. I'll figure it out later. I'm sure there's some setting I'm off a little bit on, but anyway.
I'm struggling, yes.
But yeah, it's a big thing to find that love makes such a big part in joy and happiness that helps with the energy.
Yeah. Yeah. In the Outlive book, that last chapter talks about he started making, well, he had to go to rehab for his emotional energy. And the first time he said, this isn't for me. I don't need this. You know, that denial thing. But by the time he got through his second rehab, he made himself stop a block or so from home and think about what kind of presence he wanted to create when he walked in the door. And he tells of his 3-year-old running out to the car and, you know, giving dad a big hug, daddy's home, and how pausing and choosing the energy he was coming home with started him being a better dad, a better husband, a better son, and so forth. And he writes with such clarity and authenticness. It's just that's a chapter I think I'd like to read every year, maybe. But yeah, so I want to help you be aware of your wheel here and what kind of energy are you adding to your life for your own self-care. And I don't know, Bill, you know, I remember you a few weeks back saying, you know, you go to a social event and everybody's, I'm fine, how are you? I'm fine. And there's not that descriptive element of, how's my mental energy? How's my emotional energy? It's one of those things we don't often feel safe about sharing with just, even though you see people week in and week out, the flavor of your relationship is different with that emotional energy that you're exchanging or not exchanging. You know, you're physically in the same place, and that there's some satisfaction to that, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And physical and social as being in church. There might be a spiritual energy when you're praying with each other or encouraging each other. So, Dolores, how does this fit with the transition you're making with? Does anything come to mind?
It does, you know, in terms of, it's almost like saying goodbye to a farewell to a different way of life, right? A different kind, it's an ending for me in some ways, even though I still stay connected through, you know, social media and technology with colleagues. But what it reminds me of more and foremost, and it may be kind of cold, is what we do in corporate America when we want people to change and we don't want them to be attached anymore to old tools, old processes, old teams. And we take a very direct approach and don't allow a lot of time for emotion until later, much later in the process. And I think that I look back as everybody was speaking and sharing, maybe that's what we were missing sometimes, because some of those people are tied to processes and systems that they developed and that they have maintained for decades in some cases. And we just said, no, we're going to the cloud or we're going wherever, whatever it was, digital commerce and all this. And we never gave them time to emote. I mean, we would go offsite and they could do some of that emoting with their teams. But this reminded me, I thought, wow, maybe that was rather cold. And personally, I think, when my dad passed, it was very hard for me to get back into that corporate environment because I was pretty close to my dad. So I had to take time off and just not work, deal with all the legal stuff with his home and all these things. I just had to break away because I didn't have the, I don't know, emotional maturity and intelligence to say that's at home where I can emote and this is corporate America and this is where I work, and I just couldn't. So it brought up a lot of different feelings, but in answer to your question, it's an ending and the beginning of something new that I don't know. And I just have to be open to it.
I'll never forget one of my friends at work. I think I was working second shift at a data processing plant for a bank, and my friend had gotten a phone call that her dad had, I think he was severely incapacitated in the hospital, but he was, probably going to die. And she just burst out crying right there at work. And, ripples through the whole department, And yet I've often reflected on that she didn't keep it bundled in. She expressed her true self in that moment. And the bravery, the example she set for me was pretty significant. And I've often appreciated the example that we can express. In fact, oftentimes I know right when I was at home at Christmas, my nephew was having a lot of pain in his back. And they say it's pretty common that pain in your body is trying to talk to you. And instead we go out and find some medicine, or we go out and find some addiction of some kind, or whatever we think might. And yet I found just last night in this branding class that I was wrapping up, it popped in my mind that one of my slick promises I can make to people is that I promise to bring, what's my phrase again? Help you find the best version of yourself. And because we do talk about, here's my, introduce them to the best version of themselves. When you're living your true self and you're not having pain stuck in your body, then life is so much better. And it's the best version of yourself. I'm not sure I'm brave enough to claim that, and yet I can feel that so truth for both myself and, like I say, I felt invisible my whole career, and I'm becoming the best version of myself still at 77 in retirement. It is possible. All right. Thank you for being here today, for contributing. And Colleen, I hope we see you again. And Dolores and Al have been my longest students here, or in this community. And I'm getting linked up with so many veterans that I hope what I'm doing makes a difference for veterans, because so many of them do need help. And that I can walk beside them and encourage and inspire them as they find their best version of themselves. Thanks for being here. Blessings.